Guys, Ben Spinney from Mountain Mafia. We're trying to fix these Axletech U-joint issues that Gray keeps having. We're going to go from this to this. And if you like what you see, keep following along. We're going to take you through these Axletechs and solve this problem. I'm asked a lot, why do I run these Axletechs? And what do I like about these Axletech planetary axles? I started working on these a long time ago. And what I really like about these Axletechs are you can weld to the housing. It's a cast steel, easily weldable. We use a dual shield setup when we weld to these axles. Many other axles out there cannot be welded to the same. They're very difficult to work on like that. So that is a huge plus. The other thing that I love about these is they're that planetary driven axle. So in the hub itself, there's a sun gear with planetary gears that revolve around it, and that reduces shock load of everything upstream in the drivetrain. So it's a 3.55 gear reduction at the hub, and what we run is a 1.94 center section. So when you do the math, we come out to about a 680 gear ratio on these. This is actually just a front end. It's turned around facing the other direction, and then we build our own steering arms and use that sacred geometry to get these things tracking right and suspension working properly and steering good. One of my very favorite features of these Axletech 4000s is you can pull this third member out, the whole gear set. We call it the hog head or the chunk. You can pull this out, flip it upside down, and put it back in. That reverses the rotation for a rear engine setup, keeps it driving on the drive side of the gear so it remains strong. We also design and manufacture and use our own pinion brake setup, as you can see down here. Now this one's super crusty because it's been run this whole last year, and we're gonna go through and service all of that and get it ready for this next season. We are gonna head to Patriot Chassis, check out some stress analysis on our new Axletech Predator U-joints, and then we're gonna go to Selkirk CNC and check on their progress. Maybe we'll have some U-joints today. We're here at Selkirk CNC where we are turning this into this for those Axletech U-joints we keep breaking. This is the new Predator joint brought to you by Patriot Chassis. Jason designed this sucker up. CAD designed everything, did a 3D print, made some modifications, and now this is what we're gonna run in our Axletechs. Hopefully we don't find another weak link close by, but these aren't gonna break. 4340, bronze bushing, 300M caps. This is gonna be one hell of a setup here, you guys. And these are the new Predator joints for the Axletechs. You guys that are breaking them might want to give these a shot, but they're brand new. We have to test them first, make sure they work. Everything specs out. I think they're going to work great. All right, finally back on Triggered Machine. We're going to open up this planetary. Hopefully we don't find any other surprises in here since that U-joint broke. You never know, because this stuff will completely bind up. And I saw this thing pushing this tire, just dragging it with the suspension all tweaked out because it was completely locked up. So hopefully the planetary is in good shape. We really don't have too many problems with the planetaries except for the thrust button that people tend to lose, and it grinds up in there and destroys everything. We're gonna make a mess, it just happens. No big deal. I don't see any metal or any problems here off the bat, so that's a good sign. We're gonna keep the O-ring in good condition there. This is that thrust button right here that I was talking about. We're gonna leave it in for now because once you pull it out, they're kind of a pain in the butt to push back in, and I know right where it's at right now, so I'm gonna leave it. The next thing we're gonna do is pop this clip out of the way so we can remove the main wheel bearing nut. This is a homemade socket. Oh, might be putting my gun on this one. We pull the keeper clip right there. Okay, now we're gonna pull off the main hub, and that rides on the giant bearings that are on there. We just took the big bearing nut loose. So these seals are gigantic, and they ride in two spots. They're a double layer seal. So they're kind of hard to get off sometimes. So I'm probably gonna have somebody help me by prying this off. I'll take the weight, We'll get this out of the way over on the rags. And I think I'll get you to pry on that lip really gently. Make it pop. Come on, baby. Oh, almost there. There we go. Okay, now we're down to that knuckle spindle. That's that one piece that I was telling you about. And everything looks like it's in really good shape, so that is good. We're gonna pull the steer arms off. We're gonna pull the lower kingpin plate, separate the kingpins out, and this whole big bastard comes off of here, and then we can get the axle out. Another cool thing about these Axletechs is they don't really rely on these gigantic bolts anyway. They rely on these dowel pins. So when we build them out, we actually get new dowel pins, machine them into the top if they're not already machined. Some of them are. And we make it so everything steers off these dowel pins versus the actual bolts. The bolts hold it too, but I think these dowel pins are a huge part of it. They're 5/8 hardened dowel pin. Then the bearing itself has this pin in it. It's more of a shear pin, and we actually wound up taking two and double them up to fit this, but that ensures that the bearing actually turns instead of the race. Kind of a cool little feature. Redundant setup the military uses, and we take the extra time to retain all of that because it's worth it to have, in my opinion. Oh, good thing my toe wasn't there. These actually have little shims in them, and that's how we set the preload on those kingpins. So the shims stick to it. They're actually under there on the bearing still. So we'll get those out, reuse them, put them back at the same spot. Be good to go. We broke our other slide hammer, and I think one got lost, so we jerked these off with this homemade one. Well, I pulled the top kingpin. I made my own little tool years ago that's hung around the shop and done this many times. This is what I pry on this big bushing in here to get it to lift out. And then it kind of opens everything up so this knuckle can come off. So I stacked some washers to give me a little more leverage. And I just walk this thing out. And it works pretty good. Just take my time and walk it out. Never broke one or had a problem or hurt one. I kind of had to figure out my own ways to do some of this stuff because we're the first ones to really play with these Axletechs. And people say, no, it's that guy on Pirate. That was me. So kind of had a little gangster deal is how we scored these. I think I need one more washer. So the first set, I worked for Schweitzer, the ski resort, and snowboarded and built the terrain park, and I got involved with a lot of other stuff with the mountain. Well, we would buy service trucks from Boyce Equipment. And I went down to Boyce and got some trucks with my friend Al Rhodes, who is another wheeler that worked at Schweitzer for like 30 years. And I saw a set in the corner in a box. And I talked to Mark Boyce about it. Anyway, somehow I wound up with them. And that's how they all started on Pirate. That was the first set. I almost got this thing out. It's like right there. Okay. That is that bushing that holds it all together. It's all crosshatch for the grease to go through. Let's give her a little. Yep. One more. All right. There she is. Broken in the same place all the rest were. Now the next move is to start fitting these together. The new Patriot chassis Predator joint. Collaboration between myself and Jason Johnson. We got a bunch machined out, and we're going to start assembling these. Now, the narrow Axletechs have a slightly smaller cap. So what we're going to do is ream those a few thousandths bigger to accommodate the wide Axletech U-joint caps. That way everything's standardized now from here on out. We don't have to have 2 different sizes of caps. Right on, you guys. Hopefully you're liking the shop videos that we're doing. We're gonna continue tearing into this thing. I'll see you in the ditch.